Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be looking at our kids quizzing Bible stories, and we're going to be doing them in a format like this so that we can get through the story quickly. This is dig site number 1 for 1st and 2nd Samuel, and we are going to be looking at Hannah, Elkanah, and their baby Samuel today. So let's get busy. This is dig site number 1 in the birth of Samuel. We'll be covering 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 1 through 28, and chapter 2, verse 11. Our memory verse for tonight is from 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Let's say that again. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. Our Bible truth for tonight is God cares for us, and he hears our prayers. So here's our story. There was a certain man from Ramathaim, a Zophite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, and the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, an Araphimite. Elkanah had 2 wives. One was called Hannah, and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh. Here's a map showing Shiloh. He would travel from Ramah, which is Ramathaim, all the way to Shiloh. And you can kind of see that's a pretty far distance. Here, Hophni and Phinehas, the 2 sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah, he gave a double portion because he loved her, and the Lord had closed her womb. Because the Lord had closed Hannah's womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. She would say stuff like, "I bet you wish you had kids like I do." This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her until she wept and would not eat. Her husband, Elkanah, would say to her, "Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? You are downhearted. Why? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons?" Once they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now, Eli the priest was sitting on the chair by the doorpost of the Lord's house. Hannah, in her deep anguish, prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly, and she made a vow, saying, "Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head." If you remember, this was something that we learned about Samson. No razor was to be on his head either. That was a Nazirite custom. As she kept on praying then to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, "How long are you going to stay drunk? Put away your wine." "Not so, my lord," Hannah replied. "I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief." She said, "May your servant find favor in your eyes." Eli then answered, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Early the next morning, they arose and worshipped before the Lord, and then went back to their house at Ramah. Elkanah loved his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. So, in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." Then the man Elkanah went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow. Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, "After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always." "Do what seems best to you," her husband told her. "Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word." So the woman stayed at home, nursed her son until she had weaned him. After he was weaned, she took the boy with her, young as he was, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and the skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli, and she said to him, "Pardon me, my lord. As surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord, for his whole life will be given over to the Lord." And he worshiped the Lord there. Then Elkanah went home to Ramah, but the boy ministered before the Lord under Eli the priest. So there you have it. Elkanah, he had 2 wives, 2 of them, Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah didn't. So she went and she prayed her heart out to the Lord, and the Lord heard her prayer. She soon became pregnant, and she had a son and named him Samuel. And because the Lord answered her prayer, she dedicated Samuel to always work for the Lord, and she gave him over to the temple. So practice your questions, remember what the story was all about, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.